Welcome to Real Talk Wrestling, where everyone got all messed up in the transitions, but we are here. We took last week off, I believe. No, we took yesterday off because I was at the Lightning game. But we're here Friday night talking some Survivor Series, some guy named Pepsi Phil, and then of course the Continental Red Robin Championship. But first, let's introduce our guest, one of my favorites on this network, Clutch. He loves wrestling, by the way. If you're new to the show or if you're a new viewer, he loves more of the WWE side. But go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
1 second, 1 second.
Oh boy.
This is the little bit I had planned when I talked to you earlier.
Oh man, I like
Anyways,
it. I like it,
yeah.
man. I get to see Pepsi Phil this entire time. I'm super hyped for this.
I mean, it's the main topic of conversation, so let's get it, man. But yeah, you said introduce myself. What's up, guys? Clutch. You guys usually saw me months ago on the Fast Break podcast. I've been kind of on a break on and off, but yeah, part of this network still. I think, right, Bobby?
Happy to have you, man. And of course, the biggest baby face in the IWC. Is that what it's called? Internet wrestling community. Chris Koffler. What is up, my guy? What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man? Not too much. Just staying busy at work and stuff.
Oh, really? Work? What do you do at work?
Work. What do I do at work?
Yeah. Are you there to make friends or are you there to make money?
I'm there to make money and to save money.
I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money.
That's what we're all about, baby. No, listen, let's get right into it. CM Punk returned to the WWE on Survivor Series. I watched that show live for the first time. And I mean this, for the first time, and I cannot remember. I was surprised. I was 1000% shocked. I did not see this coming at all. I watched the baby faces were cheering. The little icon went on to the left screen. I almost turned it off because I'm like, I always do that. Baby faces celebrating. Who cares? Wasting my time. I'm turning it off. Glad I didn't, because all of a sudden we heard the music. I popped. I marked out. I'm sure Clutch did as well. Chris, you didn't watch it, but man, what a moment.
I was not watching live. I'm surprised that you were surprised about that. I felt like that was definitely coming. It just feels like with all the rumors going on, with them being in Chicago and everything, like I thought that was coming.
Disrespect to Randy Orton. That's all I got to say. You step on a legend's return. For what? For CM Punk? Go ahead, Clutch. Were you surprised by this?
I mean, yeah, I thought the CM Punk Survivor Series news was kind of like an internet field rumor, and I thought Punk was coming back eventually, and I marked it down for the Rumble. So, and I didn't think it would just work so quick, but apparently, I mean, according to Triple H, stuff went down pretty quick, and that's why I was able to like stay under wraps. Like, yeah, I kind of sold myself. Yeah, he's not coming. Randy's enough. Well, he is. Randy's enough. He gets his moment. Stop the cash in, whatever. Trademark and the trademark logo, and then you get the Triple H NXT special, which is straight up boom, something crazy. CM Punk, cult of personality, whole stadium, arena goes crazy. I mean, I enjoyed it, bro. I have an up and down relationship with Punk, and you can probably tell where I stand on right now, considering what my picture is. But we can keep talking about that in a little bit.
Man, listen. I'm going to address this question in the chat real quick. When will we see Jade Cargill? When she's ready. She's not ready. She won't be ready for a little bit. Maybe the Rumble to protect her, put her in that. Look, they don't even have 30 women on the roster, so they're going to need someone. So throw her in there, protect her, get her in there, have her show out. Maybe she gets a face-to-face with someone big, like they did with Keith Lee, like they've done with many other superstars. That'd be cool for Jay to do that, but she's not ready. We all, if you watch AEW, you know that. But back to Punk, we had the promo on Monday night. We were all excited for the first time in years. I remember going, I'm gonna watch Raw. I told myself I'm gonna watch Raw. I usually do watch it. I flip back and forth between Monday night, but I was the guy who at 7:45 I turned it on USA Network and I'm watching Law and Order, getting ready for Raw, and I'm like, I haven't done this since I'm in my 20s. Were you guys hyped for Raw, Chris? I know you watched it.
I did. I tuned into Raw for the first time in a while, It's been a few months since I tuned in. And I had a feeling like he wasn't going to come out at the beginning. I'm like, he's probably not going to come out until the end. But you had sold me on it. You kept saying Raw is the best wrestling show on television all week. So I decided to join in. I figure if any episode, this would be an episode to jump in. But what did you say about this episode?
It was boring. It was just like me before the show, me and Clutch were talking. It was good without, like, there was maybe 3 or 4 good segments, maybe. It was good at the beginning, good at the end, a little bit in the middle, but a lot of filler in the middle.
Yes, that's why I thought it started off pretty good. I'm like, all right, Josh is right. This is pretty good right now. I could probably sit through this. I don't know that I'll make it the full 3 hours, but I should be able to make it through a good portion of this. And I just found myself in like 9:15, 9:30, 9:40. I'm like, all right, it's starting to feel like homework now instead of something that I want to do, you know?
I get that. Clutch, what do you think Punk's little augmentation is going to be? All those cartoon things everyone gets? What do you think his is going to be?
Oh, the CGI?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the lightning fist thing.
Yeah, just
maybe just something like that.
Bunch of these things.
Maybe Larry the dog.
Larry the dog would be pretty cool. Thinking maybe some muffins. I don't know. Who knows? It's just comical. Just thinking CM Punk's back in WWE, to me, is if you would have told me 2 years ago, Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, the 2 biggest names in the company you like the most, is going to be on WWE, I'd think you're crazy. I would think you're an absolute lunatic. One of the people who created this company, and one of the people that hate WWE more than anyone in the world, went ahead in 2023 and joined the WWE. I think it's great for wrestling and wrestling fans.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely good. Competition is always a good thing. But yes, like you said, it is very shocking. Out of the 2, which one do you think was the bigger surprise move?
Cody Rhodes, just because he joined, just because he started AEW, I thought he maybe want to lead it to the promised land. And plus all the constant trash talk he did on being the elite and making fun of WWE constantly, smashing thrones on national TV, bringing out golden sledgehammers, openly mocking Triple H and WWE. Even his last promo on AEW television, he mocked WWE for changing Walter's name to Gunther.
Yeah.
That was forgotten. So what about you, Clutch? What's the most shocking one?
Kind of, I think it's Punk for me, because it's just considering like the baggage there, not just how he went out, the whole health situation that happened when he left, but even afterwards, getting his firing papers the day of his wedding. I mean, I thought that bridge was burned to a crisp. But I mean, if one thing like WWE has ever taught me is that they do not let emotion get in the way of business. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised either, but I still am. I think Punk was something I never in my life saw coming. I didn't see Cody coming either, but both of them took a bunch of pot shots at WWE, and they're somehow there. Triple H, Vince, at the time it was for Cody, just let bygones be bygones and did whatever was best for business.
Yeah, I agree with that. Brian wants to know, what about Brian Pillman Jr.? Like, he's trying to figure things out in NXT. I heard, I don't watch NXT.
Oh, that beard.
But I heard he's been doing some awful work, but he's working on it. No, seriously, I heard he's doing awful work, but he's working on it, and that's all you can do. I'm not gonna jive, guys. I'm an AEW mark, but they don't know how to train wrestlers. They don't know how to develop wrestlers. Darby Allin and all these guys have been in AEW for over 3 years now, and nobody has grown except for one person. That's MJF. No one has grown. No one's been elevated. They've all stayed just flat. And that goes across the board. You can't roll your eyes, Chris, because you know.
I'm just thinking, you think he is the only person that's been elevated that entire time?
So far, yes. Who else can you think of that people respect? Like, that are even the WWE marks on Twitter acknowledge how good MJF is. Who else can say that?
Nobody. If you're going to go to the WWE marks, then nobody, of course. But I think I've seen some people grow. You've seen Hangman grow. I think he's one of the biggest examples. You see Swerve is starting to take off. So I mean, there are people. There's not a lot though. I mean, I get what you're saying. They don't have a developmental, and it's just kind of everyone just comes in and does their thing. I think they could stand to have a developmental area now that they've grown. You know, if you think in the beginning, it was just all the indie wrestler stuff doing their indie wrestler type moves and shows, but they've grown from that as a show, and so it's probably time for them to start looking into having their own developmental.
Yeah, I wish they would use ROH as a developmental instead of a third or second brand they just shove down our throats on TV that we don't want to see. Nobody wants to see. So, speaking about Punk's return, they advertised it at least 25 times. It was worse than the Cody clock counter. Remember that? Remember the Cody counter, Cody timer, whatever. We all knew it was going to be the end of the show. He got 5 minutes of promo time. He got 5 minutes. Could you imagine anyone coming back for 10 years of being gone and they're like, hey kid, hey guy, you get 5 minutes. What do you think Bret Hart would have done? What do you think any of these guys would have done? I can't believe they only allowed him 5 minutes to speak. And it was honestly, he said nothing. Clutch, I want to start with you because I know that you have a different perspective on this. What did you get from the CM Punk promo? Did you think it was enough time? Do you think it was good?
I think it did what it needed to do. I'm not going to say good. I'm not going to say bad. I believe the way it was structured, what he said, was all done intentionally. We talked before the show. I said, with like, especially on a Triple H run product, you have to like pay attention to the details. And I think he said way more in those 2 seconds you played. You have a little mini soundbite. I think he said more in those 2 seconds that actually mattered than he did in the promo itself. And I think that's what you need to pay attention to. I genuinely do think, like, some people say, oh, I don't think he wants to be there or whatever, and it's just a fallback plan. But I genuinely bought into the whole I'm home thing because people do change. I may just be, like, biased because you know me, I'm a WWE guy. But I do think, like, people do change, and new regime, you can mend fences with Triple H instead of Vince. I think it's possible that he realized what he was missing at some point, and that's why he went back to Raw that one time. I don't know, months ago, and that's when the relationship building really started. But for the promo itself, I mean, it did what it needed to. It wasn't anything special. I think you didn't need more time than that. He wasn't going to take what people wanted, and let's be honest, people wanted him to get on the mic and take his shots at AEW. And anything less than that was not gonna cut it for them, and it just doesn't cut it for people right now because he didn't. So yeah, that's my take on it. I think nobody was going to be happy with the promo anyways because he wasn't going to talk about AEW.
I agree, Chris. You just watched the promo today. I know you didn't watch it Monday night. So what are your thoughts? I told you have to listen to it. You have to.
Yeah.
Or at least watch it.
So yeah, I watched it today. I just thought it was lacking in speaking of what Clutch was talking about there, not even so much like the absence of AEW stuff. Like, I'm actually kind of glad that he stayed away from that because then it would seem, we've talked before about how the Bucks can seem petty at times. I feel like it would have come off as petty if he was just sitting there poking shots. But I was hoping that he was going to cut one of his good promos that he had, in AEW or something, or like at least let this time start a feud with someone. I know there's all this talk about him and Seth or whatever, and I thought he was going to transition into that a little bit and like get everyone excited. Like, here's my first feud. I would have been happy with that. Just say what he needed to say. I'm back, whatever. And then give us a little something. And 5 minutes seems short given the amount of time that he's been away, the way that he left, all the stuff throughout the years. I would have thought he would have had at least a solid 10 to 12 minutes. So it felt a little short. I was surprised to see that that's all that it was. When you told me it's only 5 minutes, I'm like, there's no way it's only 5 minutes.
Yeah. If I can like add something really quick, I think if you you're kind of like makes sense in another point that if you compare him to Cody in returns, I mean, Cody got to open Raw and he got his long promo about what he wanted to do. He stated his mission, and I do understand that part. So I do see like your side of the argument from that way.
Yeah, that's all. Like I said, you can leave the AEW stuff out. Just give them more time to set the tone there for what this run in WWE is going to be.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm home. I did some bad things. They did some bad things. We're if he would have said something like, "We had issues, me and management mended fences. We had a meeting. We buried the hatchet. We're professionals. We're gonna work together." Those are little shots too that I thought he was gonna say, because the whole thing was he was willing to work with the elite. And they weren't. So, and they actually had a meeting, but the Bucks canceled it. So if he would have said something like, seriously, like, yes, management and I didn't get along, but guess what? We grew up and we had a meeting and we worked things out. We're here to make money, yada, yada, yada. What do you think about his hypocrite stance afterwards, where I'm home, I'm here for you, yada, yada, yada. But then, of course, at the very end,
I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money.
so he's pretty much telling people everything he just said for 5 minutes was a lie. And he's just there to make money. That's literally what he said. But he didn't say it on the mic for the people to hear. How can anyone as a fan, and I'm being serious, look at him and go, I believe everything he just said on that microphone? Because right afterwards, he contradicted himself and was the hypocrite that he is. And he was the CM Punk that we all know. That's the CM Punk I wanted to hear on the mic, his real self, whether it be dick, whether it be real, whether it be anything, just him. Like his AEW stuff was so good. And I feel like they're going to ruin him, just like they did Cody. They ruined Cody. Ruined him. To me.
Oh, me and you can have talks about this for hours.
What do you want to talk about? Cody didn't say that every single time. But now he says it 400 times a show. Cody comes out, we have to hear, whoa, 3 different times a night. It takes away from who he was and what he did. He's not special anymore. He's just another guy. To me, to the outside viewer, to someone who only tunes in once in a while, he's just, to me, he might as well be Gunther. He might as well be Seth Rollins. He's just another awesome superstar. He's not special anymore. What do you want to talk about? I mean, come on, every single time. But I get your point, Clutch. He is the face of the. I think LA Knight's more popular. I think LA Knight's the bigger baby face.
I think LA Knight's peak is higher than Cody's, but I think just Cody can maintain it more consistently
because of the way they're going to present him, no matter what. Because of how much.
I mean, he's this new generation's Cena. Basically, that's what they're going for.
Yeah, and he's doing a damn good job on it. I'm just over it. And guess what? We were all over Cena as well. We were all over Cena. Can I play a clip? It's about 1 minute and 20 seconds long. Can I play this? And we can all analyze it afterwards?
Sure.
All right.
You see, I felt before like I had to leave. I didn't want to, but I knew I couldn't stay. And that was when I used to work for a place called Ring of Honor. August 13th, 2005 was my last match in Ring of Honor, and I famously came out with tears in my eyes. And walking out here today, I now know why I was crying. And it was a lot of reasons, but what it boiled down to was I had made a place where people could come work, get paid, learn their craft, and love professional wrestling. And I cried because I knew I was leaving a place that I love, and it was a home, and I knew where I was going. It wasn't going to be easy for a guy like me, because I'm one of you. So I look at it like this. August 13th, 2005, I left professional wrestling. August 20th, 2021. I'm back.
Okay, so we just heard him pretty much 2 years ago state he left pro wrestling when he left ROH and he returned when he came back to AEW. No mention of WWE at all, seriously, as his home and he knew where he wasn't going to do well over there, all this stuff. Can a person change this much in 2 years? Or was that the way he felt and he still feels, but he has no other place to go? And then he realizes that the WWE, Triple H, and himself have common enemies and common ground. So now his only goal is to do one thing and take one business, take Tony Khan's business out and take over WWE. Like, what we just heard was him basically stating WWE is a joke. He didn't consider it real professional wrestling. And that place drove him mad, so bad that he had to leave the sport forever. And the only place he ever wanted to come back to was real professional wrestling as AEW. Why, if he was so itching to come back to wrestling 2 years ago, why didn't he go to the E? It's a bigger platform, would have made more money. But now he goes to the E because that's the only place that was that's left. I mean, tell me, as Punk says, tell me when I'm telling lies. Clutch.
Okay, so you're right when you said this was only 2 years ago when he said all of these things, and I think he meant every single word he did at the time. But you kind of have to agree also that a lot of things happened in those 2 years that can traumatize and change a person, considering what happened. When you move on to like Brawl Out, and he kind of like had that moment, he realized I'm working with a bunch of children. You don't know, in his mind, maybe he's like, okay, in WWE it was different. They were more professional, da 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 da, and maybe that's when his mind started changing. Either way, what I'm trying to get into, because I'm guessing what we're going into is the Punk is a hypocrite thing. I don't know how much of the entirety of Raw you saw, but right before CM Punk came out, when Seth Rollins came out, and he on national TV got the mic and called Punk a hypocrite, and then Punk goes on to cut a promo that makes him sound like what? Like a hypocrite. So it's a story being told, and that feud is like the seeds are already planted on Raw. They were planted when the off-camera shoot that Seth trying to go after Punk when Punk came back or whatever. But yeah, I think it works story-wise, but I also think, like, genuinely, I do believe like people can change, especially when they go through something like that. Those 2 years were heavy, man, for everybody involved in AEW. And I just think people can change. I don't know if this is the case this time, but I do think it's possible, and you can't just like rule it out.
I agree with everything you said because people can change in 2 years. That's true. But Punk doesn't seem like the kind of guy who just changes his mind. What did he say when he first quit? I'm never, ever, ever coming back. Never, ever. The only way I come back is if it was a bag full of money. Bag full of money. So his intentions were made clear from day one, even when he quit. Day one, he's been interviewed everywhere. If they pay me a lot of money, I will come back. If they pay me a lot of money, that was it. The last thing we just heard was, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. And if this is playing into some huge storyline where he was in front of the audience on the microphone, being a baby face, sucking him off, whatever he's got to do. And then as soon as he takes that mic away, so no one can hear him, those 18,000 people can't hear him. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. If that's an angle to where he's the heel to Seth Rollins, that's genius. I'm all for it. And that's the kind of thing that CM Punk does bring to television. And that's the thing that we're going to miss, Chris, as AEW fans, because he did bring that realism. Yep. Those promos with Eddie Kingston, the promos with MJF, those were all real. All of them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, especially I remember those MJF ones, man. Those were top notch right there. And kind of speaking to what you were talking about a little bit about, is this really how he feels, or he's just saying it. Remember all the stuff that he was saying to MJF whenever they started up their feud? Oh, you keep talking about, 2024. You think the grass is greener over there. I'm, basically here to tell you it's not. And so
that was only a year ago.
Yeah.
That was only a year ago.
Yep.
Wow.
So I don't know, but it could be like what Clutch is saying. Like, you thought the grass was greener over there, and then you went over there and realized, oh, wait, I actually don't like all these things. I don't like the whole package deal that comes with being on this side. I'm going to go back over here now because I realized how much I miss wrestling, but I realized maybe these things weren't as big of a problem as maybe I originally thought they were, now that I've seen how someone else operates in this day and age,
And think about this, and I know Clutch is going to agree with this. The way they brought Cody in, Vince flew to Georgia to meet with Cody. They didn't beg him to come in, but they made a generous offer, and they treated him nothing but like royalty ever since he's been there. He's been the top guy, the Cena, the guy. He was War Games was Team Cody, and Randy Orton was involved. Imagine that. How the turntables have changed or whatever Michael Scott said. But I will say this: I don't know where I was going. Oh, so maybe someone like a Punk can go, wow, Cody did all this. He smashed the throne. He did all this, yada yada, and they brought him back with open arms. Maybe they'll do that for me as well. So this Cody thing, really, the forbidden door that Cody always talks about that he invented, it's now extending to the WWE, but except for AEW talents now can go over there and feel safe and feel welcomed. Because we all know in the Monday Night Wars, when Jericho went to WWF, when all these other Perry Saturn, they were looked at as outsiders, like get them out of here. Now people can make that jump safely because of guys like CM Punk and Cody. So I think this is freaking awesome for all of wrestling. I really do.
Yeah.
Without Cody, this wasn't possible. I don't think.
Yeah. And I think going back to what we were asking earlier, which one was more surprising? I think that's a little why I also feel like Cody's was a little more surprising, because he was the first major name to go from AEW back to or over to WWE.
WWE. You want to talk some Survivor Series, Clutch? Just a little bit?
Just a little bit.
All right. I know, Chris, you didn't watch it, but follow along. There's a lot of good matches. I promise, a lot of good matches. What was your favorite, the women's or the men's War Games match?
I kind of like the women's just a little bit better. I enjoy the story going on with Damage Control. You kind of like see you saw Bayley taking the bullet for every single member of Damage Control, ended up taking the pin. Eventually, she's getting kicked out. They're starting their own thing. Who knows what's gonna happen if Bayley, maybe in the future, Bayley gets some reinforcements, considering what people are talking about nowadays. If you know what I'm talking about, Josh.
I know who's coming back. I know.
It's boss time.
It's boss time. Do you think she's gonna go under Mercedes or Sasha?
She's gonna be Sasha Banks.
Man, I think she's one of these people who wants to own everything, own her name. She's got that hype video that just came out. The workout.
I do
video.
think if it's a sticking point, I think now people like Triple H and the people in charge are willing to maybe talk.
Yeah. I do think so. I've been on the show. I've been telling people for months and months, Sasha's, and maybe that's why I didn't think CM Punk was coming back, because I was so hyped for Sasha or Mercedes to make her return or make her debut at Revolution. Like, I was in it. I was one of those marks I was pissed when it was Will Ospreay over there. I was furious because he's been on TV multiple times. He's in feuds. He's actually in a feud with Kenny Omega, and he's in a freaking stable. So how is this a shocking signing? He's in the Don Callis family, but I digress. That's why I didn't think CM Punk was coming, because my dreams were crushed. But I do think that with CM Punk returning and the new regime, they're using talent that were never used before on television. It's a new era in WWE. It's a really phenomenal. So I can definitely see Mercedes coming back and backing Bayley in the story. It's definitely not off the table.
I mean, you can possibly see a Damage Control versus the 4 Horsewomen eventually.
Yes, and that's what I was going to bring up. Bayley.
That's WrestleMania right there.
That's WrestleMania. You got all 4. You got Sasha, you got Bayley, you got Becky and Charlotte, who are all in a feud with Damage Control, which would be. But is Dakota Kai going to be okay Is it going to just be Kairi Sane, Asuka, and Io? And is Dakota going to be ready by then? That'd be awesome, but I don't know. I don't know her timetable. Or do you add another person to Damage Control?
Yeah, I mean, you always could. There's also another frigging name floating around from Japan, Julia, right?
Julia. Yeah, I don't know much about Julia. I'm not gonna lie, but I've heard her name come bring up. Chris, have you heard of this Julia?
Nope.
She's not the Julia Hart. She's Julia.
I was
She's
about to say that's the only one I've known. I know that's not who you're talking about. So
No, I heard she's
I
pretty
mean,
good.
Yeah, once you hear her name like floating, when I hear names being floated around for WWE, I'll do my due diligence, go on YouTube, look a little bit of highlight tapes and stuff. But I mean, she can go, shit, and I think people like her enough for her to like maybe be part of this new Damage Control if Dakota can't go.
That'd be pretty great. I would love to see that. If Sasha returns for that, I'd be hyped for it, just because of the implications. Because we've always wanted to see the 4 horsewomen together, and we never. It's always been teased, and it's never happened. And I secretly think Bailey's going to turn babyface at the Rumble. I think that's when it happens. Could we see a Sasha debut then? Or
She might be babyface before that. I mean, and then Sasha comes back. I could see Damage Control turning on her in a random SmackDown, and then that starts the whole thing.
That could happen too. I could see it happen in the Rumble though, like they throw her out or something. I don't know. It could be anything. Honestly, I'm just excited for a babyface Bailey because it's been way too long. I think that her heel run has been good, not great, but I think her heel run was way better when Sasha was involved. And those two are inseparable. They're best friends in real life. But the name we're not thinking about is Trinity. She's up for contract already in Impact Wrestling or TNA, and she could easily make her return because it makes sense. Her husband works there. Why would she not return with the new management? That'd be pretty cool, I think, at least.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But again, these people go out there, they rebrand themselves as Mercedes and Trinity, and I'm not going to be able to call her Naomi. I honestly had to look up her name because I forgot her name was Naomi. I just know her as Trinity now. Men's War Game match was fun. The big RKO spot was awesome. Chris, did you see that?
Yes, I did see that.
That was awesome.
I saw a couple clips. I haven't watched the whole match. I might do that this weekend, but I did see some clips of it, including that one.
Yeah, that one was great. But besides the War Games matches, were you into the women's match? I think Rhea Ripley and I don't even know her name, Zoe Stark. I think that was awful.
I can't even give you a proper assessment of that match because I was just looking forward to Men's War Games and Randy Orton, where I didn't give much to that match. I mean, I've seen people that say it wasn't that bad, and honestly, I wasn't paying too much attention. I was just looking forward to Randy Orton at that point.
Let's get to Randy Orton though. Did you like the way they introduced him?
I mean, yeah, it was the Kevin Owens War Game spot, but with a twist, with the cash-in mixed in. I really liked how he was introduced. I mean, I would have logically liked to seen maybe an explanation why he's so freaking late, like traffic in Chicago or something, but still, I do like how he was introduced because it's Randy Orton coming back, bro, and I think he needed to have his own proper introduction, and just having him come out and stand in a cage until it's time to go in just probably wasn't the best way to go.
No, because he'd just be sitting there in the cage and people would be hyped for it, and it wouldn't hit the same than I hear voices, right? When everyone. But what do you think about the cash-in attempt? I knew they were going to try it because they've been doing it for a long time. How did they think that was going to work in real life? There's 4 other men in there that can easily just break up the pin and beat them up.
Yeah, you can see what they were trying to do. I mean,
I know.
Seth went through the table, so he's like, okay, Seth is down. I think at that point, everybody was down. But obviously, at any point, any of them could get up and break a pinfall. So, I mean, sometimes I try to take logic out of wrestling because it's funner that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I do like that it's a creative little way to tease a cash-in that you've never seen before. So that's okay.
Let me ask you this: since if it was cashed in successfully, that makes the entire War Games match a title match. So therefore, anyone from the Judgment Day could have won the title, correct?
Good point. Well, I don't know.
When Seth cashed his in Triple Threat, any one of those guys could have walked out as champion still. Seth didn't just have it against Brock at that time.
Could you imagine in another universe that happens, the cash-in happens, and Finn Balor takes the spotlight?
That'd be awesome. That'd be great. That would that would drive the breakup of the Judgment Day. That can give you CM Punk and Seth without a title being on the line, where CM Punk can actually go over without winning the title right away. That would have been freaking genius. I'm actually down for that. I don't want to see CM Punk and Seth for the title because that means CM Punk is going to win the title right away. CM Punk's not losing his first match. We're really going to see CM Punk with the title going into WrestleMania, and Seth did all this work, just to be upstaged and beaten down by a AEW reject again.
He has the worst luck when it comes to that.
That's right, because he had to deal with the Cody stuff, right?
Yeah, he lost to Cody 3 times in a row. Now he's going to get buried by CM Punk.
Forgot
That's not
all
fair.
about that.
That's not fair.
Poor
He's too good
Seth.
for that. That's unfortunate. I think Seth should win some of these matches, but that's the way I would do it. I would get that title off. I think Seth loses the title at the Rumble. He has to, because you don't have a CM Punk feud if they are doing that for the title. It just doesn't make sense for him. I mean, he's already the real world champion anyway. Why doesn't he just bring that over?
I mean, unless you can always, I don't know, man. Unless you have Damian Priest cash in, take the title away from that feud with Punk. Maybe that's the way to do it if you don't want to give Punk a title right away.
Who do we see Seth wrestling at the Rumble? Drew?
I'll tell you that I think it's Seth because of what we talked about earlier. That apparently, I think it was Fightful that said this, that WWE is actually like pretty optimistic about running CM Punk versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania. So I think the Seth match gets bumped up all the way to the Rumble.
Then Punk wins the title at the Rumble, then it's Stone Cold versus CM Punk for the title. That just doesn't that doesn't do it for me. Pal.
That's why I mentioned the maybe Damian before that takes the title off of Seth.
That'd be I would see it would progress 2 stories. It would progress a story with Drew, because Drew just helped the Judgment Day, and all of a sudden now Damian Priest stole the title, or didn't steal it, but won it. It also bring tension between Finn Balor, because Finn couldn't beat Seth, but Damian did, even though it was in the cashing kind of way. And then you could start that feud with the Judgment Day breaking off for Damian Priest, and he gets his title run as a babyface. I think that'd be pretty cool. And then you have PG Punk doing his thing. Raphael, wrestling's not fake, by the way. Raphael, he's in the chat.
It's still real to Josh.
It's a real sport. Real men putting their life on. I don't even know why we're talking about Punk. He's going to be injured in 2 months anyway. He's going to jump in the crowd, break his foot, break his something. He's going to be hurt. I'm not even worried about it. But yeah, Survivor Series. Anything else about Survivor Series that you really liked? Clutch.
I was pleasantly surprised by Miz versus Gunther. Pleasantly surprised, because I'm not a big Miz guy, but I think he came to work that day.
I am shocked that you said that, and most people said the same thing. I love the Miz. He's always been a great heel. The babyface turn came out of nowhere, and it was weird, but it made sense because he's the greatest. He's one of the greatest Intercontinental champions of all time. So it makes sense for Gunther to go through him as well on his amazing title run. One of the best runs I've ever seen in this era, in the past 10 years in the WWE. They worked great together. Gunther, there was moments where I'm like, Miz is going to get this done.
Yeah, the low blow into the skull crushing finale.
I thought for sure, I'm like, it's over. I thought for sure it was over then, and it wasn't. And then Miz taps out within seconds later. But man, that moment right there where he pushed his shoulder into the turnbuckle, the exposed turnbuckle, kicked him in the knee, but tried to kick him in the balls, but kicked him in the knee, then turned around and kicked him in the nuts, and then skull crushing finale. I'm like, the nut shot in WWE is almost as effective as the roll up. So I'm like, it's over.
Hey, don't you think it was pretty neat? I don't know if it was intentional. Maybe it was, because I mean, a lot of things seem intentional nowadays. Gunther finished it with what seems to be like a lion tamer.
Yeah, it was a Boston Crab with his knee on Miz's back. It looked brutal, and Miz just taps out.
Maybe a shout out to Jericho. Another one of the top Intercontinental champions ever.
Yeah. I think he's held it the most or something like that.
Yeah,
He's definitely up
I
there.
think Miz is like one behind Jericho.
Yeah, but who takes his title from Gunther? Because I think he's got to get elevated to the top. He has to. And
Yeah.
he's beaten everyone.
I mean, you're right. Who does take this? I mean, you've built up this monster. It has to be worth it, you know?
Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker. I mean, Ilya Dragunov, he's Gunther's boogeyman.
Oh yeah, he put on a great match with him. Remember that match, Chris? Ilya. That'd be.
Oh yeah.
You know, I still think it should be Sheamus. He still hasn't won that title. He has been off TV for a long time.
Yeah,
bring him back. Get him one more shot.
Do you think he'll lose it in a one-on-one match or like a triple threat, doesn't get pinned type scenario?
I think you have to do a title. You can't do the title a disservice, and you have to make the guy taking the title from probably the greatest Intercontinental champion ever, make that guy look strong. So I think like Gunther needs to take the pin straight up.
I was thinking, because I don't want Gunther to get pinned, but it has to happen. I was thinking, why can't he just relinquish it? Why can't he win the Rumble, come out on Raw? Hey, I'm the number one contender. I'm main eventing WrestleMania versus whoever the champion is, whether it be, Damian Priest or whoever. It doesn't matter at this point. Seth Rollins. And to say, I'm relinquishing this title. I've done everything. And that's it. It's happened before. Samoa Joe just did it, but with a lesser title. But it's been done before. Didn't Ultimate Warrior do it when he won the titles from Hogan?
Yeah.
It's been done. It won't be as fun. People won't like it, but I think you got to protect Gunther and have him dominant. Like whoever pins him is going to be lesser than a Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. It will be a less than. That's just the way it is. I just don't understand how you get pinned and get elevated up. It makes no sense to me. But it's going to happen.
They do that all the time too, though. I feel like with all that time that you've been building someone, that you want someone to take the title off of him, because now you bring the next guy up, bring someone else up. Yeah, he takes the loss, but then that's just the way it goes. Then you get moved up and elevated into kind of into that upper tier of wrestlers. You see that all the time, though. You see people going out on NXT. You would see them lose their last match, lose their titles, and then they were promoted up to, the main roster. So to build them all that time and no one to get the rub from beating them, I think would just be a tough decision to make.
I know. Because I'm hearing rumors. Brock Lesnar and Walter Gunther at WrestleMania.
I'm so into that. So
am I. I think that'd be great.
Yeah,
I think
awesome.
that'd be phenomenal.
And I think Brock would come to work for that one.
I think so too. I think that's great. Other than that, though, let's move on from WWE, because we do have to talk about the Red Robin tournament that's been going on, Collision and Dynamite every single week. I'm very disappointed with this tournament. I know, Clutch, you're probably not watching it very closely. Chris, do you have the blocks in front of you, or do you know them by heart because you're such a fanboy?
No, I do not have them memorized. Why are you disappointed?
Because it's exactly like every single other AEW tournament / battle royal, where there's two people in it that you think can actually win it, and the rest are there to take jobs. Do you think Mark Briscoe's ever going to win a match? Do you think Jay Lethal's ever going to win a match? The only time they'll ever win a match is if they're wrestling each other.
Yeah,
it sucks when we see Jon Moxley versus
do you
Jay
think
Lethal.
Do you think that they'll throw us a curveball, though, and maybe someone that we're expecting to win, and then they're like, oh, I just got to get this win, and then I advance out of the blue league or the gold league, and I just got to get this one little win right here over, like you said, over Mark Briscoe, and then I'm in, just like what we saw with Hangman a few years ago. We thought for sure he was going to win that match on that random Wednesday Dynamite, and then he didn't. They threw a curveball, and then it set him back a little bit.
Wait, are you talking about when if I win this match, I get a title shot. If I don't, I surrender it, and then he lost?
You remember which Dynamite I'm talking about? This was still during the COVID era, and he was Hangman was he was like on fire then, and we saw that he was heading towards the match with Kenny.
Yeah, and he lost.
And then he lost. Was it a Brian Cage who wasn't?
Yeah, okay, Chris. This was back when AEW was creative and they had Cody Rhodes still. Seriously, that's back when they were creative. Now they're not as creative. Now, Clutch, I want to get to you because I have people in the chat asking me why you're not talking. What do you think about tournaments in general in wrestling? I know that you're a big. I don't know if you're a big King of the Ring guy or whatever they do in the E, or if you even pay attention to the G1 Climax over there in Japan. Are you a tournament person? Because it seems like we get them all the time in AEW.
I've been off of tournaments for a very long time, and I can tell you exactly the tournament that ruined it for me is that one Raw where CM Punk left with the title. They had a tournament. Rey Mysterio won the WWE title. By the way, my favorite wrestler of all time. Only to drop it 2 hours later to John Cena. That ruined tournaments for me.
Yeah,
And I've never looked at tournaments the same again.
tournaments, especially in AEW, are not even a vehicle to get anyone over. Many times we've seen a tournament like the Owen Hart tournament. We just actually talked about this 2 weeks ago. Where Chris, who won the Owen Hart tournament this year?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
I don't remember because you're right. They have these tournaments, and I just don't understand why in wrestling we don't use tournaments to elevate people. Like, I thought that's the whole point of them. Like, that's what King of the Ring used to do. And now we have this one, and it should be a way to elevate some people. But you're right, it doesn't. It just does nothing. They win, they get like a little trophy, something, and that's it.
They carry it out on TV for like 3 weeks, like the Andre the Battle Royal Memorial.
Yes.
Ridge Holland wins it or whoever won it, and he stands next to it for about 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it's gone.
Yep.
And that's the purpose of tournaments and battle royals, and I really don't like it. But this one's was supposed to be billed as the 12 greatest, 12 best talents in AEW. So you're telling me Daniel Garcia, Jay Lethal, Mark Briscoe are part of the 12 best that we have to offer? That's a little bit ridiculous.
How do you build the 12 best and like Kenny Omega's not in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes and yes. How's Kenny Omega not in there? How is Hangman not in there? I get why some of these people aren't, because Hangman just lost to Swerve. So it wouldn't make sense to have them both in there. But then Jay White just lost to MJF. So he's in there, though. It's just the way that Tony books things. It's very obvious who's going to win these blocks. It's going to be Bryan Danielson. And it's going to be, I don't even know, honestly, couldn't tell you on the other side because I'm not interested in this tournament whatsoever. I haven't watched a single tournament match this year, but I know who's winning. You know why I know who's winning? Because it's Jon Moxley versus Jay Lethal. Because it's Roosh versus Mark Briscoe. There's nothing. They had one intriguing match. That was Jay White and that was Swerve.
Yep.
And I was looking forward to that match, but I fell asleep because they put a women's match in there before it, I believe.
That was at like 9:20 because they had the
I forgot what it was, but I fell asleep.
No, they had a promo there from your boy, Christian. Christian was in the 9:30 slot.
As we were talking before you got on, Chris, I'm very disappointed in this feud, this whole kill switch. I'm very disappointed with Adam Copeland. He's been a flop. To me, I'm not interested. As an outsider, what do you think about Adam Copeland going to AEW? Clutch.
I refuse to call him Adam Copeland, first of all, even if it's his real name. He's Edge. Yeah, man. At first, like, you got the whole little. He got to keep his theme song, even though it sounds kind of weird because they have to re-record like the first part. It was kind of cool. But the highlight of the whole thing, from an outsider's perspective, was when Christian Cage gave him a hug and then told him to go fuck himself. And then after that, I was like, okay.
Well, Adam Copeland just returned the favor this week. He said it live on national TV. Go F yourself on the TBS network. And don't be surprised, people, when AEW is on fight.net next year and Raw is on TBS or TNT. Remember, people, Raw's coming up for a deal. NXT got their deal. SmackDown got their deal. SmackDown's going to USA.
That's why Triple H has been away. He hasn't been a creative in the last couple of weeks, I've heard, because they're trying to get a deal done.
The only show that doesn't have a deal yet is Raw. And what did Warner Brothers Discovery want this entire time from AEW? CM Punk. They were promised CM Punk. They gave him Collision because of CM Punk. I guarantee and I promise to everyone, bookmark this, save it, screenshot it, whatever you got to do. AEW will not be on TNT, Warner Brothers Discovery, coming up in the next TV deal because they're going to get Raw, and they're not going to have two different competing wrestling shows on the same network. They're getting CM Punk. They wanted CM Punk. They're going to get CM Punk. Guarantee it. We're going to be watching AEW on channel 124 at like midnight. Coming soon.
Is that a prediction?
It's a spoiler. It's sad though, for real. Look at the networks, man. CW would have gotten what NWA, but then they had that cocaine spot and they dropped them and went straight to NXT. Yeah. Remember that? Do you really think TBS really wants their biggest stars saying go F yourself on TV and it clearing, or MJF saying bull and it clearing the TV, or people stapling each other in the face? I think their time's up.
That one didn't happen on the actual channel. That was
the
on
NWA. The NWA thing, the cocaine spot happened on a pay-per-view too.
Oh, did it? Okay.
It's perception, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Clutch can probably agree with this. I really do think Raw's going to end up on TNT.
I mean, yeah, I think they're in the running with I don't know who owns FX, but that channel, they're between FX and like TNT.
Disney owns FX.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those two. And I mean, if it's a double win if you can bump AEW out of there, plus you get a really good TV deal, a really good network. I mean, I could definitely see it. And like you said, they wanted CM Punk.
Yep. I think I'm being dead serious, Chris. We're gonna be watching Travel Channel, Sci-Fi Network, AEW.
The equivalent of Spike TV was for like TNA.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, man. They didn't get their act together in AEW, and I hate to bring this on. It feels like I'm double teaming Chris now with the two new. I'm a new WWE mark for here.
You turned heel, brother. You just had a heel turn right in the middle of the show.
Listen, man. AEW used to be appointment television. We've already brought this up multiple times. Yep. It's just not anymore, man. It's not. I would have got so hyped for Jay White and Swerve back in the day. Now I'm thinking, who cares? Who cares? What is this tournament for? Who cares? What's a continental champion? What is it? What is it?
By the way, I know you said you haven't watched too much of the tournament though, but you realize they have that other belt under there now?
Oh yeah.
On the table?
Yeah. Show it. Display it. This is what you are coming to win. Have the person, Tony Khan.
You know he likes doing his big reveals.
Yeah, you should have done it. We are here to start the tournament, and the winner of this tournament will get this belt and reveal it so we can all see it every single time there's a match. So we know what the wrestlers are fighting for. Yeah. All we see is a black cloth.
I mean, yeah, you can say what you want about it, but it's kind of like what WWE did with the World Heavyweight Championship. They displayed the title, said this is what you're fighting for.
Yes, it makes sense because it makes me go, wow, that title's cool. I can't wait to see it on Swerve's waist. Wow, that title's cool. Jay White really deserves that. Instead of a black cloth, the wrestlers don't even know what they're fighting for. Are you going to go into hey, Chris, there's a prize fight and there's a bag. There's a bag right here. And you get to win what's inside, buddy. Are you going to really be motivated to see what's inside this bag? It's not a bag, it's a beanie. You want to see what's inside. You want to know what you're fighting for. Do the NFL, do they hide the Lombardi trophy? Do they change it every year and go, you don't know what it's going to be? Or no, do they present it? The Stanley Cup. They bring it out every single time it's a game clinching, game, whatever. I don't know, man. I'm with Clutch on this. The Team WWE for life.
Welcome to the dark side, brother.
Wow.
But we're going to kick it off here, man. We're going to get out because I know SmackDown's on. I know Clutch really is really itching to see that show, right? Yeah.
I need to see Randy Orton, man. I'm a yeah guy, but I need to see Randy Orton.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who I want to see on SmackDown. So we're going to end it here. Make sure you follow us everywhere on social media. Finn's Talk Sports Network is the main YouTube channel. Follow us on Real Talk Wrestling as well. But make sure you follow Chris, RTW Chris on Twitter. Follow me, Josh Kimmel OUS, where I just spew nonsense all day long. I make zero sense. And Clutch, he's actually one of my favorite people to view on Twitter, to watch, because he tells it how it is. He's real. Seriously.
Yeah, if you like tirades, follow me. Watch my Twitter account during a Dolphins game.
That I definitely recommend that, and of course the whole Damian Lillard saga where I saw
Bro.
every single day, and I don't even watch the NBA. I have no idea what's happening. But
Why do you think I've been like away for like months? It broke me.
It definitely did break you. But we'll be back next week, Thursday. Guys, I have a lot of hockey games coming up on Thursday, so we'll have more Friday shows apparently. So keep out for that. We'll always post that on Twitter as well. I don't know how to end the show because I don't produce shows and I don't know how to get out of here, guys. So I'm just gonna hit end stream. Does that work for everyone?
Just end it like this.